Hi. Hope all is well. You're feeling good. I'm glad you're back for day 11 of our 31-day experiment for the breath, body balance, meditation, and the goal of Psalm 1 through 3. Let's keep that in mind as we can be forgetful. It's always good to be reminded. Today is the 11th. 11. I, meditate day and night now, so I think about the number 11 and seeing the two lines, 11. And it makes me think of my legs and all the things that I want to share with you about this body of ours. So today is 11. Tomorrow is 12. There are 12 stringed guitars, and I think of us as a guitar. So tomorrow we'll talk about how this body of ours is a stringed instrument, much like a 12-string guitar. However, today, let's talk more about how we are that tree planted by streams of water, bearing our fruit in the proper season and our leaves not withering. How does that happen? Well, I think of myself as a tree, literally. So, being a licensed massage therapist, neuromuscular therapist, I really think about the physical body, the basic anatomy, whether that's Western perspective or an Eastern perspective. I've had, Parker University. I went to Parker University and I got both. They teach both. They teach a Western and Eastern perspective of this physical body. And I know that our physical body is directly related to the mental. So I think about the mind and the body as an energetic circle. Think of that as a link and a chain. And then the emotion with the spirit. So that's another circle. And they link up. Here's kind of a fun fact. If you interlace your fingers, you can pull them apart pretty easily. But if you include the thumb in your grip, you can't pull it apart. And the thumb is the spirit. So in what spirit are we operating? Are we including our spirit with what we're doing or not? We can just let go. All right, so lots of things that I would like to share. However, trying to keep it in 20 minutes. So let's see how we do with that. As we prepare today, think about your legs, right? The number 11. Think about the legs, and at the end points of the legs are the feet. Now, even if you don't have feet, you still have end points, and you can imagine that the legs go down and roots are growing. Ideally, from the bottoms of the feet. The feet are a mini model of the body. The toes, so if we think about our body and the toes, the tips of the toes, that's where all the senses are. And so we want to be able to feel with our toes. We want to be able to wiggle our toes. think about our senses as tingling, right? My senses are tingling. So we want to be able to use our eyes, our nose. The nose knows. They call it an olfactory sense. So if you smell something and you don't like it, your nose knows. If you smell something and you love it, it's good for you. We can taste, we can hear. So those senses are all up here at the top of our toes. The balls of the feet are the shoulders, right? You can stand on the balls of your feet. We can carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. Now the heels are the hips. Notice if you put your weight in the heels, the glutes get tight. So I can squeeze my glutes and, those are my heels. When I put my weight in the heels, my glutes tighten. Now think about your arches. So if a tree has the roots growing down and drawing from the center, if you draw your arches up as though you're a tree with roots growing down, drawing nutrients up through the center, notice the belly comes in. So the arches are inside the rib cage. And that's what happens when just with my mind, right? With my mind, I'm imagining that I'm a tree. I have strong legs, a strong trunk, and the roots grow down through the balls of the feet, the hips, the outsides, those outside points of the outer edge of the foot, those little notches, those little bony landmarks are the elbows. So the outsides are where the roots grow, and then you draw the nutrients up. There's so many interesting physical actions of meditation. Meditation is using our imagination, our creative thoughts. The Psalm 1:1-3, I find it interesting. Don't do this. So it tells you straight away, don't do that. Don't take advice from fools. Don't stand in the way of sinners. And don't make fun of people. Don't do those things. Just get that straight away off the table. Don't do that. But our delight should be in loving each other. Loving each other. So that's the fruit, right? That's how we bear the fruit. The fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, faithfulness. There's another, reiterated in Philippians. This was given to me when I was 30 years old by a lady that was about 30 years older than me at the time, and she took a calligraphy class, and I framed it, and I keep this at my bedside. I want to remember this as I lay my head to sleep, and upon waking, whatever things are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report, if there be any virtue and any praise, think on these things. And the promise is that the God of peace will guard our hearts and our minds. What else? What could be better if our hearts and our minds are guarded? And that is, right? So the heart and the mind. The mind is the belly. That's one link there. And the heart goes with the spirit. So these are two links that are, strong and keep us in alignment, right? That was another thing I wanted to ask God about many years ago, was how come sometimes my head wants to do something, but my heart's not in it? I can't make myself do something that my heart's not. If my spirit is not in it, and yet everyone's telling me this is the right thing, this is the right thing, and I know, right? I can read it on paper, this sounds good, but my heart's not in it. And vice versa. What if our heart wants to do something and our head is like, no way. So it's by doing these meditations, thinking of these, thinking on what is true, what is honest. I need my heart and my head in alignment. So am I taking advice from fools? Have I been standing in the way of sinners? Have I been made fun of? So those are the things that were keeping me from being in alignment physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So I find it fascinating that these verses are just brief, very brief, yet incredibly powerful in keeping this body tuned. So today let's add the feet into our meditation as we take in the breathing. Imagine the roots growing down as well. Sync that up for yourself. So let's see. Right, I like to draw the nutrients up on the exhale. Breathing in, sending the roots deep into the ground. Imagine with your mind's eye, maybe at first you don't feel the roots. Think about any plant that you have gotten from a friend or a nursery. We can propagate things. You take a branch and they say, just sometimes stick it right in the ground, it'll grow. Other times you need to put it in a glass of water. And maybe overnight you see the roots begin to sprout. Depending on what season. Are we in growing season? Those roots can come pretty quickly. If we're in winter, it may take a bit more time. So be patient with yourself. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate right away and you don't feel that action in the body with what you're thinking, give it time. Create that space around you. And again, it starts in the mind. In your mind's eye, can you imagine for me, what comes to mind is a plumeria branch, a frangipani. Some people call it a cigar tree, right? You break off that cigar and you put it right into the ground. And start to see those roots grow. Wiggle the toes, give it some energy. Sending the roots. Now, from the arches, draw up the nutrients from the ground. And as you draw those nutrients, you'll feel the spine beginning to decompress. Each inhale, you feel the movement in the body. With that movement creates circulation, blood flow, lymphatic flow. So see that breath coming in. Feel how it's moving the body. Send the roots deep into the ground. And draw those nutrients up through the arches. And feel yourself getting taller and stronger with each breath. You can then, reach your arms. Think about the fingertips. Those are the tips of your branches. And reach. You can't see all of me, so you'll have to use your imagination. I can feel the energy coming out of my palms as I wiggle my fingers and imagine those little shoots beginning to grow. If you've ever seen a plumeria, that fresh branch, and as those, they just, eek! They're so cute. I have several in my yard. And I go out and look at them and see how, on their little cigar, then they just start to grow. So I imagine that as my roots grow down, my branches grow up. I love that, right? I love those flowers. I love the smell of frangipani, plumeria, the cigar tree. I love all the colors, right? They can be white, pink, red. They can be little or great big, perfectly round, or adaptable to their space. "11. Think about your legs. 11. Day 11. Send those roots deep into the ground. Let that be your meditation. Incorporate that into the hardware. Your thoughts are the software running this hardware. Our legs are now known, the muscles in the legs, when they contract and relax, they help the heart. The heart, right, we know it's not that big usually. Some people have a large heart. I've seen some hearts that were great big, shockingly big. But maybe because the legs weren't doing their part. So we work together, the different parts of the body, so as we have strong legs, tighten and relax the legs. It helps the heart. And helping the heart be at peace. So today, Proverbs 11. Again, it begins with what we don't want to do, what the Lord hates, and what He loves. So let's think about letting go of the opposite of what we don't want. I think of a coin. A coin has heads and tails. So if you see the head, it's a portrait. That anyone that's had a portrait taken, you prepare for that. You get your best side. The portrait is our it's our best side. It's our beauty. And then if you flip it, under every tail, think about what's under every tail and what comes out of there. So if it's brown, flush it down, let it go, and let's look to how do we love ourselves? How do we love our neighbors? And I think this is for us to be aware, there are differences. There is a positive, negative. There are things that we want to increase, right? Like the branches, the fruit, the leaves. We want to increase and grow certain things. And others, flush it down. Put it back into the ground. So the Lord abhors dishonest scales, but accurate weights are his delight. When pride comes, then comes disgrace. But with humility comes wisdom. The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. Wealth is worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless makes a straight way for them, but the wicked are brought down by their own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright delivers them, but the unfaithful are trapped by evil desires. When a wicked man dies, his hope perishes. All he expected from his power comes to nothing. The righteous man is rescued from trouble, and it comes on the wicked instead. With his mouth, the godless destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge, the righteous escape. When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices. When the wicked perish, there are shouts of joy. Through the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted, but by the mouth of the wicked it is destroyed. A man who lacks judgment derides his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his tongue. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but many advisors make victory sure. He who puts up security for another will surely suffer, but whoever refuses to strike hands and pledge is safe. A kind-hearted woman gains respect, but ruthless men gain only wealth. A kind man benefits himself, but a cruel man brings trouble on himself. The wicked man earns deceptive wages, but he who sows righteousness reaps a sure reward. Sowing righteousness reaps a sure reward. The truly righteous man attains life, but he who pursues evil goes to his death. The Lord detests men of perverse heart, but he delights in those who are blameless. Be sure of this, the wicked will not go unpunished, but those who are righteous will go free. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion. The desire of the righteous ends only in good, but the hope of the wicked only in wrath. One man gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly and comes to poverty. A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. People curse the man who hoards grain, but blessing crowns him who is willing to sell. He who seeks good finds goodwill, but evil comes to him who searches for it. Whoever trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. He who brings trouble on his family will inherit only wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. If the righteous receive their due on earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner? So each day is set before us to choose. You know, do we choose? I think about that coin. If I'm feeling pretty crappy, I flip it. Let's think about that portrait. How can I be my best? How can I shine brightest? How can I, be portrait ready? And think about things again, right? These things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report. Yes, there are lots of things that are the opposite, but we flip it, just like we can flip a coin, heads or tails. Let's take that chance and make it. We can take that coin. We don't have to leave it just by chance. We can take the coin and put it heads up, right? My mom would play a game with me, and she'd always say, heads I win, tails you lose. And I would play with her, and I was like, wait a minute. She's always going to win if it's heads I win, tails you lose. But we all have our own coin. So heads I win, tails I lose. All right, I hope that's good food for thought today. Good fruit of the Spirit as you go about your day and taking in your breath. Seeing it go deep down into the belly and deep into the earth and draw the nutrients. Think about, also in the earth are fresh springs of water. There's spring water. So if we can get past the muck and the mire and the quicksand and all the yuck that's in the ground, and send those roots, imagine those roots tapping into the aquifers that are there and that alive, nutrient-dense, crystal clear water, and drawing that up out of the ground and filling our bodies with that water, that living water. And that living water, in my mind, I see it like crystal clear. Crystal is just full of electricity, full of light, and just coming in and allowing my branches to grow, my leaf being fully nutrient dense, and the fruit growing, and the flowers blooming with beautiful color and fragrance. So call to God and know that He will answer you and me, but we must call to Him. Look up. Remember, where the eyes go, the body follows. All right, tomorrow, day 12. I'm always happy to think about me being an instrument as well as a tree. Psalm 150, Psalm 150, Psalm 150. If you have a chance, read that. I'll read it tomorrow about us and the music that God wants to hear from us. And then I realized, well, wouldn't you know, look at us. We are instruments, stringed instruments. We have vocal cords and windpipe and a drum here in the middle. So anyway, that's tomorrow. Today is October 11th. Makes me think about those walking sticks that we've been given. So think about your legs today. How are your legs? Have you ever considered that they were tree trunks growing deep into the earth and drawing up the crystal clear water from the springs of life? All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.